Welcome to the New Fly Fisher. I'm Brian Chan, your co-host for today's show. Today we're fishing Heffley Lake, located about 40 kilometers northeast of the city of Kamloops in British Columbia. It's late September, it's fall fishing, and the fish are going to come on the shoals and feed on big food items. We'll use a variety of different techniques today to see if we can catch some nice Kamloops rainbow trout.
That was awesome.
Let him go back to live another day.
These are extremely strong fish.
Here he goes. Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, good fish, yes.
Got him. Yahoo! World record. We talked earlier about having the optimum conditions. Here we've got
a good example of the family Heptageneidae, very flat.
Music, sweet music. This is why you need a lot of backing.
Today we join co-host Brian Chan near Kamloops, British Columbia to learn some advanced stillwater techniques. Brian is a noted aquatic biologist, author, lecturer, and stillwater expert. We are fortunate to have him as a co-host of the series. The location is Heffley Lake, about 40 kilometers from Kamloops. It is late September, a beautiful day to be out on the water. It is also an ideal time to hook into some really great rainbow trout if you have the right tactics to do it. Today, Brian will teach us rigging techniques and why mobility and searching for active fish is important when fishing in the fall. He will also discuss why and how the trout are feeding.
All right, I'm gonna get a bite. There's a fish. Holy schmoly. That's a big fish. It worked. So he ate the leech, wind drifting. It's a big fish, real big fish. Just about hit the boat when he jumped. Oh, he fell off. Nice fish. Oh, like to have landed that one. There's a fish. Oh! And we got a fish here, wind drifting that little maroon leech we just put on. Looks like a maturing male. So remember, it's late fall right now, and rainbows spawn in the spring, so a lot of maturation goes on in the fall months. There we go. So we got a nice fish here. So one thing we're going to do with this fish, it's the first fish we've landed today, so I'm going to do a throat pump just to see what they're feeding on. Chances are it's going to have shrimp in it because that's one of the staple food items in the fall. But we'll just have a look just to make sure. Beautiful rainbow, about 2 3/4, almost 3 pounds. And I'm just going to do a quick throat pump, squeeze the water out of the pump. Down the esophagus, and pull it out. Let the fish, there he goes. There he goes. Back onto that nice light colored bottom. So I've just released that really nice fish. I'm going to take my vial and see what's in the throat of that fish. And then there's something interesting. Okay, so what we've got here are 3 dead shrimp. They were eaten probably several hours ago, and what it's telling us is that fish wasn't aggressively feeding. Hopefully when we catch another fish and we do a throat pump, it'll have live shrimp in it, which will be a much better sign that there's more and more fish that are going to be feeding today. And we still got lots of time. They're going to have to feed sometime because, again, water temperature cooling, and those fish have to feed as much as they can before winter sets in, and this lake is frozen for about 4 months. we're gonna go and have a look around, see if we can, have to try a different area. Try to find that school of fish. Key to late fall fishing is trying to find some fish that are moving. So I'm gonna move the boat now. I haven't seen any fish moving here for quite some time. When we first anchored, we were able to catch fish right away. We're on a big shoal, and this shoal is probably 30 acres in size, and the water varies from 4 feet to 16, 17 feet in depth. And the fish can be anywhere on those shoals. I haven't seen a lot of fish move from this position in the last 25 minutes or so, and that's about enough time to give it. If they're not going to move, then we should move and try to find some fish somewhere else. And all I'm looking for is a fish that porpoises or splashes or jumps. And even though that fish may not be actually feeding, at least it tells me there's fish in that area. And in the fall, it's really critical to be moving to the fish, because remember, we don't have any insect hatches occurring, and they're feeding on food items like shrimp and leeches and dragonfly nymphs, food sources that are going to overwinter in the lake. And so we can't rely on big emergences of mayflies or chironomids to attract the fish and keep them concentrated in one area. Oh, there's a fish. There's a fish. Oh, nice fish. Beautiful trout. Oh, it's a good sized fish. That's one thing about fishing late in the fall. You often have the opportunity to catch the biggest fish of the year because they're hungry. And again, it's because they're not going to be feeding much all winter. They're cold-blooded. They're just going to rely on the body fat that they've built up all spring, summer, and fall. That's a beautiful Heffley Lake rainbow. Get the net wet, nice and damp. So we're just going to take a quick look at this fish. This fish here is probably going to be 4 years old next spring. It's a female. It looks like it's maturing for next spring. So the Freshwater Fish Society of BC would have stocked this fish 3 years ago as a yearling. Been about this long. Its parents of this fish are wild. They came from wild rainbow trout. And you can see in 3 years in the lake, it's grown to something like that. And there it goes. Well, that's a nice fish. So if you can catch fish like that on a nice fall day, it really makes it worth coming out. But again, the reason why I caught that fish is we were anchored quite a ways down the lake, and I was looking back and I saw a fish jump. This is exactly where that fish jumped. So we knew there's at least one fish there moving, and we were lucky to be able to get that guy there. So that was a beautiful fish. Let's see if we can catch another one. So I just wanted to take a minute to explain the technique I'm using today. I'm using strike indicators, and I'm using a slip indicator which allows me to set it at various steps when I'm fishing deep water on the leader, but it releases its release indicator, so it slides down the line, and I don't have to worry about that indicator and trying to pull a toothpick out of it to make it slide down when I get the fish close to the boat. We're using indicators because we're fishing shallow water, we've got a breeze, and the indicator in combination with that loop knot allows us to present flies at any depth and wind drift them or retrieve them in a very shallow depth zone, whether it's 3 inches above the bottom, 6 inches above the bottom, or a foot above the bottom. We're fishing a clear lake today, and so it's always better to present your imitations closer to the bottom than higher in the water column, simply because the trout are going to stay close to the bottom and feed close to the bottom so that they don't get attacked by an osprey or a loon. So we got a little smaller fish here right now, I think, but it's a bar of chrome. This will be an immature fish. And the indicator just slightly moved. He just sucked it in. So they're taking them fairly soft right now, so you have to keep your eye on that strike indicator. But you can see how it's released and it's sliding down. So I can have a lot easier control of this fish when I land it. See, the indicator slid right down to the fly now. Get this guy in the net. What we've got here is a beautiful 2-year-old. It's not going to mature next spring. So this fish was stocked last spring by the Freshwater Fish Society as a yearling that old. So it's grown that much in a year and a half in the lake. And it's going to get double that size within another 14, 16 months. So beautiful fish. Oh, I missed him. He grabbed it. Missed him. Had him. Had that fish. He took it on the drop. Fly was dropping, he bumped it. And I was late on the set. There's a fish. Oh, we got one in the calm water. Just calm down again. It's a nice fish too. Oh, you can really see them. See them in this clear water. That's a beautiful Heffley fish. There we go. So we got him in the net. Have a quick look before we let him go. So these fish spend a lot of time on the light colored bottom like we're over fishing now. They get very light in color. Their body colors lighten up and they're usually a dark blue back and they're getting lighter, more of an olive blue, and even their sides lighten up. And that's just so that they avoid predators. They can't be seen as easily from the air by ospreys or loons. So I'm just gonna slide it in, depress it. It slides out. And then I'm just gonna cradle the fish. Hold him up. There's a beautiful 3-year-old rainbow trout. And away she goes. While we're down here, just gonna put some water in the vial. And we're gonna take the throat pump. And there we go. So this is good because the shrimp that you see in here are still alive. They're still wiggling. And that's a good sign because the fish we got previously only had dead shrimp in them. This fish is actively feeding. So you might ask, well, you're fishing leeches, but they're eating shrimp. And the reason why we're fishing leeches is because it's a big food item and the fish are looking for any type of food this time of year. So when they see a nice leech just drifting by or being retrieved by them in the water, and it's at the right depth zone, they'll come out after it and eat it. And that's why leeches work so well in the fall. You can see how I've got my depth sounder mounted in my boat. So depth sounders are really important when fishing lakes. We can't see the depth. We don't know how deep it is, particularly if you're fishing a lake that's tea-colored or tannic stained. So depth sounders tell you the depth you're fishing. And this one has a built-in temperature sensor, so I know the surface temperature as well, which is really good because I record that in my diary, in my daily fishing diary. Sounders are important. You know the depth you're in. You know where to suspend flies to get them close to the bottom to make sure you're fishing in the zone that the fish are swimming in. Good strong fish. Once this water temperature drops in the fall like it is now, 54, 55 and less, there's no reason for these fish to go into deep water again to feed. All the groceries are in shallow water. There you go. Get that hook out. And it'll fall out pretty quick because it's a barbless. And there's a nice Heffley Lake rainbow. About a 3-year-old fish. So it's been stocked 2 years ago. And it's put on some great growth. This area is so good because there's so many productive lakes all within an hour's drive of Kamloops. There's probably close to 200 lakes. So they're easy to get to. Most of them have good roads to them or resorts on them, or they have Forest Service recreation sites like what we use today. And we stock many of those lakes because they're landlocked and didn't naturally support fish. So lots of lakes in close proximity. You couldn't ask for anything more. So what we're looking at here, there's 4 fish. See how they tip their heads down when they're cruising? See, and then they lift up, they tip down, and then they lift up. Well, what they're doing is they're picking up small hyalella shrimp, small scuds. Again, they'll swim along, they'll dip down, and then they'll turn around and pick something up, and you'll actually see a cloud of puff of the marl, the silt that's coming up from when they pick the shrimp out of the water. So at least we found some fish in here that are actually feeding. But flat, calm water, so it's going to be challenging. Okay, so I'm just going to use my little kitchen strainer here to give you an idea of how productive these lakes are. I'm just going to swirl it around in the vegetation at the bottom of the lake here, and we'll take a look at what I found. So Heffley Lake is very typical of lakes in the interior plateau of BC. Lots of vegetation growing on the bottom of the lake. So I just took this kitchen sieve strainer and ran it through the bottom of the water in very shallow water. It's only a couple feet deep there. And we've got it full of gamma shrimp. There's probably some hyalella shrimp in there as well. And we also have a darn or dragonfly nymph. And we got a large snail. Now, trout eat snails, but smaller ones. But they really eat the darn or dragonfly nymphs. And this is about a 3-year-old nymph that's going to live for another 2 years before the trout are actually going to feed, before the darner nymph is actually going to emerge as an adult. But it's this heavy concentration of freshwater shrimp that's really important to note. This is what puts the real weight on the trout in these lakes. And it also is what gives the trout flesh that reddy orange coloration, the carotene that's in that chitinous exoskeleton. So heavy populations of shrimp anywhere throughout North America in any still water means you're going to have healthy populations of trout in the lake. Nice fish. Oh, what a nice jumper. Oh, that's nice to see, a nice hot fish. Oh, that's great. Weighted them out. Oh, beauty. Nice fish. You know, they got a little dour today, this afternoon, and we just had to keep persistent and hang around here and wait for them to come back onto the bite. So it paid off to wait. Most of the other boats have over, in fact, everybody's left the lake, but it's not that late in the day yet. It's just late afternoon, and fish are still eating, so that's good. And I'm sure if we did a throat pump of this fish, we would find shrimp in its throat, because that's what looks like they've been eating for most of the day. So just in and around the Kamloops area, there's a couple hundred lakes within about an hour's drive. And so there's really good access to a lot of these lakes, just like Heffley Lake with a Forest Service rec site, like what we launched today. Or in fact, there's 2 resorts on this lake. And so there's a couple websites that you might want to check out if you're thinking about coming to the Kamloops area. Certainly our website of the Freshwater Fish Society, gofishbc.com, It's got all the current stocking records for every lake in the province and fishing tips. And then the Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association website, TOTA, TOTA.com. It's got lots of information about fishing resorts and accommodations in the area and other attractions. And then also there's the Tourism BC. BCfishing.com is another excellent source of fishing information throughout the whole province. So lots of good information that you can get online and help plan any trip that you might want to come out here. This is another nice Heffley Lake Rainbow. There we go, like that. Beautiful fish. And it's gone. Well, that's good. Another fish. Let's see if we can catch a couple more before it gets too late. I think they're still feeding, and let's see what happens. It's a good time to go over the fly patterns that I've used today to give you an idea of the colors of leeches that I've been using. But just to start off with, here's my box of basically fall selection of patterns. You can see the top row here, there's some chironomid larvae or bloodworms. The bottom row here are scuds or freshwater shrimp. And the patterns that have been most successful today have been the black and red or maroon colored leech. And then we've been using a medium olive size leech, like that. And then we've used a much paler colored olivey tan colored leech. Now those three leech patterns are pretty standard colors for the leeches that we like to use in the fall. The green one and the lighter tan green one, the fish will often take them as a damselfly nymph as well, or perhaps even a shrimp, a big shrimp, and so that's why those colors are very effective. Well, it's time to get off the water. It's starting to rain. We've heard some lightning in the background. So I hope you've picked up a few tips on fishing your favorite local still waters. And for more information about this show and other series within The New Fly Fisher, check out the website, www.thenewflyfisher.com.
Hi, I'm Tom Rosenbauer. For videos like the one you just saw and more, subscribe to our channel. You don't want to miss our weekly uploads of educational videos, exciting trips, and much more.